Greetings everyone and welcome. I'm your host, Captain Rye, and in today's video, I'm playing in the HMS Hood here in World of Warships. A battleship that I haven't played a lot of, and I rarely ever show. Now, for those of you who are unaware, the HMS Hood here, premium British battleship at Tier 7, has some interesting quirks to it. Number one, you'll notice that it gets the defensive fire consumable, although in this particular battle, completely worthless, as there is no carrier to shoot aircraft for. And you may also note that it is a very large battleship. If you're unfamiliar with the ship, also worth noting, the guns on the hood aren't particularly good. Well, they are 15-inch guns. The armor piercing on these guns has a tendency to shatter more often than it will actually penetrate. So, sticking with traditional British battleship standards, I'm going to be firing high explosive for a good chunk of this game. However, that being said, these 15-inch guns kind of have the similar penetration value to the Scharnhorst's 11-inch guns, and if you get a nice broadsiding cruiser, it's worth switching over to that armor piercing, and I think we may in fact see just how effective it can be against foolish cruisers. Now, I've spawned closest to the A cap point, so the A cap point is where I'm headed. I'm supported here by a Cleveland Anemogami, so the Cleveland's going to have radar, hopefully, ideally, as well as a friendly destroyer, the Mahan. And that's when the enemy Mahan's popped up here. He's popping a smoke screen. You can see the enemy gate is also back there. Had the high explosive loaded, try to fire off the Mahan, shorted those rounds just a little bit, kind of a difficult angle to shoot at, in my opinion. But suddenly, a wild cruiser appears. That's going to be the Graf Spee, and the Graf Spee could be a bit of a problem, depending on where his guns are pointed. Our friendly destroyer has managed to pull a Notzer and beached himself in a bit of a precarious position as he is being actively spotted by the catapult fighter from one of the cruisers. And I can't remember if the Graf Spee has a catapult fighter or not, but he is being spotted, and as a result he is out in the open and actively being shot at here by not one but two destroyers and a cruiser, a German cruiser at that. And even if he wasn't being spotted by the aircraft, that cruiser surely has hydroacoustic up. And given that he was slap bang right on that island, out in the open with no smoke screen whatsoever, pretty much dead destroyer there. So the enemy team's going to take a first blood, but it's alright. Managed to finish off the enemy Mahan in exchange, partly due to myself and our Cleveland here. So that's going to be destroyer for destroyer, neither team with a destroyer advantage. Now I have to deal with this cruiser. And he's going to stay popping up in and out due to that smoke screen there kind of regularly. Do quite a bit of damage there. Regular penetrations with the high explosive on that Graf Spee. Very, very good for me. Not so good for him, but he is a Graf Spee, so he can recover his health there. Enemy Hipper there, fortunately, luckily not shooting at me, shoots at the Cleveland. That could have been some problem for me as I am kind of a little more broadside to him. Now I have switched over to the armor-piercing rounds, and with any luck, this Graf Spee will stay right out in the open, right where I want him, and I can land some of these nice, big, fat armor-piercing shells right through his armor. Unfortunately, I have an island in the way. The British battleships, not the best for dealing with firing over islands, and about the point where I'm actually going to spot the Graf Spee, well, yeah, he's moving back behind that island. So I fire off the shots that I have, hoping for a connection. Do connect, cause some damage, but no citadels there. And now I have a Hipper pushing around that. So the Hipper has torpedoes out here. He probably was trying to aim for me, possibly the Cleveland, but neither of us are fools. We know he's back there. We know he's got torpedoes. So now he's going to bum rush us. The enemy team is currently in the lead as they have managed to secure the A cap point, and they've managed to take out a cruiser here. Accidentally connect on that Cleveland with one of those shots. So that's going to be a little bit of team damage for me. Unfortunately, the Mogami's torpedoes hit home right onto that Hipper, and unfortunately, the Hipper's torpedoes managed to hit right home on that Cleveland, and now the Cleveland's got to face a Scharnhorst. And, well, let's be fair, a Scharnhorst at these kinds of ranges is probably going to rip apart that Cleveland. Secondaries alone could probably do it, but those 11-inch guns, rapid firing as they are, cause some serious problem. Armor piercing still loaded on the Scharnhorst, and here we can see there's the shatter, there's a penetration, there's actually an over-penetration. Not as much damage as I was hoping to do there, and if I had the high explosive loaded, I probably would have set a fire and actually caused more damage. Enemy team manages to finish off the Cleveland, and again, that's going to leave them in the points lead. Not by much, but they are capping the C cap point, and we did briefly see they were in the B cap point. They are being contested at the B cap point. We have a friendly destroyer over there, but they are currently at that location. However, we do manage to take out that cruiser that was there, the Hung Yi, at the B cap point thanks to our Alabama. So now we're equal on ships and number of ships, but the enemy team still controls the cap. So they are going to gain points. We're currently in the lead, oddly enough, but they are going to gain the points. Managed to fire off. My high explosive was loaded up for the Scharnhorst. The Gade pops up, so I put the punishment out on the Gade, and there he is now on fire. But it is a destroyer, so that fire is not going to burn long, and his damage control ability is going to be up very, very quickly in this game. In the meantime, I'm now falling back. Pay attention to the minimap down there. Yes, I know it's a little bit small for most of you, but pay attention to that minimap. You can see where the green is located. The vast majority of the team is located down at C and B. Just me and the Mogami are up here at the A cap point, and we've got, well, a couple of cruisers and a couple of battleships to deal with back over here, as well as that destroyer. So because I don't want to deal with either of these, especially not with a Mogami, which is effectively one giant floating citadel, I am going to turn and head the other direction. Have to take a little bit of evasive action here. I've got an island on one side and I can't turn away as I'd like to, and I've got this KGV up here, and I really don't want him shooting broadside shots at armor piercing into me. Luckily for me, he's a British battleship player, so he shoots the high explosive, and now that he's fired, I can make my turn with relative safety and security here. Then I'm not going to get massively citadeled, assuming this Graf Spee doesn't want to hurt me as well, and he could very well hurt me. Because the Graf Spee is coming around this island, I switch back over to the armor piercing here in an effort to try and get these shots out. A little bit of a replay glitch there. That was actual lag in the game. That was a bit of a problem for me at the time. Luckily, it didn't last very long, and there wasn't too much of it, although I think there is one other instance of this happening sooner rather than later. But looking at the situation, the KGV very low health, the Graf Spee half health here. Mogami's firing off torpedoes. With any luck, he'll be able to connect something maybe on that destroyer. My team has managed to start retaking the C cap point, or at the very least we're contesting it there. There are those torpedoes headed by. And now it's a matter of whether or not I can get the killing blow on this KGV. Shots coming in there from the Scharnhorst. They do hit. They do cause damage. Manage with the armor piercing to kill the KGV, so he's dead. Have to decide what I'm going to do here. I'm going to go back and around the other side of this island, rather than turn and expose my broadside to both the Graf Spee and the Scharnhorst. Well, the Graf Spee's 11-inch guns are not as good as the Scharnhorst's. They are still a major concern. And the Hood's armor is not the best, as you may have guessed. Luckily for me, I've only got one fire burning right now. I've got the high explosive loaded, so I fire off at the Graf Spee. Would love to connect on him and cause some problems. Those shots, unfortunately, they miss, and that's a little bit disappointing. And, of course, Graf Spee, he's going to start recovering. However, my team has managed to take the ship's advantage away from the enemy, and we've gained more points here because we've managed to kill not one, but 2 enemy battleships in the meantime. More shots out there. Those all, unfortunately, straddle the enemy Graf Spee. Kind of disappointed by that. Would have been nice to get the kill on him, and as we'll see later in this game, very, very close to that all-important Kraken Unleashed. There's the Scharnhorst is broadsiding here, and he's actually going to go face-to-face with an Alabama. Now, if I was the Alabama, I would not want to get into this engagement, not with that amount of health, and the Scharnhorst's, well, secondaries, and the fact that the Scharnhorst has torpedoes. Although the Alabama very good at weathering torpedo hits, because it's an Alabama, it has 51% torpedo damage reduction to it. So, Scharnhorst, very unlucky, does not get the kill on the Alabama. And luckily for me, the fire that I set on him burned him down. So there's my second kill in the game, and so far doing pretty well. There's the enemy Gade. He's one of 2 enemy remaining destroyers. The other one all the way back in the backfield, back down by C. Enemy team has secured the C cap point, but we still hold the B cap point, and because we're in a ship's advantage, we currently hold the advantage. Now, I know the enemy Gade is back in this smoke screen. We can see him. He's still firing off here. If our Alabama had been spotted, oh man, that Gade could have gotten a kill there, but because the Alabama was smart, stopped firing. He is going to survive long enough to start recovering health, and that's when the Graf Spee pops back up. Now this Graf Spee is going to try fire off shots there. These torpedoes coming in from the Gade, fortunately, all miss me. Get my shots out there. They don't quite reach the Graf Spee in time to secure that kill. The Alabama does take it. A little bit disappointed by that, and again, as we'll see. But that's okay now. The Alabama has a Gade right in front of him. Plus, the Graf Spee got torpedoes off, and oh boy, these torpedoes look like they may do it, and they do a lot of damage, and they do, in fact, do it. They finish off our Alabama. So now it's just me back over here, but not anymore as it used to be. There are other battleships here. Have the high explosive loaded. There's the Gade. He's come too far out of his smoke screen and he's fired his shots off. So get these shots out there. Can I connect? Yes, I do. Finish him off. So there is 3 enemy ships now dead. And there's just 1 destroyer left at this point, and he was last spotted, well, not in any position to do anything of any value to all of the battleships back up here. And if I'm not mistaken, it is a Pan-Asia destroyer, and he only has deep water torpedoes. If you were paying attention to the chat earlier in the game, there's me being cheeky and witty about the earlier chat. Unfortunately, one of the drawbacks to the Hood is that there just isn't that much gun range. And because it doesn't mount a catapult fighter, I can't extend that gun range. So I am left with nothing at this point to shoot at. Because I'm a fast battleship, though, if I wanted to, I could turn and I could go down and engage. But here's the thing. The enemy team isn't that far behind us on points, and we do have some low-health battleships. So instead, because we're retaking C, I'm going to go and I'm going to get into the A cap point. Always playing to win. If I could take the A cap point from the enemy, even if they manage to kill a few more ships, they won't gain any more additional points to help their totals. And there's 7 minutes left in this game, so this game could really, realistically, still swing the other way if the enemy team can organize themselves. And they are kind of in a position already for mutual defense down there. But the battleships, well, they don't have a lot of health left either. But they are battleships, so they can recover that health. And you got to play smart that way. Our Queen Elizabeth here also doesn't have a lot of health, and he's basically out in the open and being shot at by multiple ships here. There's an Amagi down there, there's a West Virginia down there, and there is an enemy cruiser down there as well. So all of those ships could be firing off and causing some serious problems if they concentrated their fire. In the meantime, here I'm sitting in the cap, slow the ship down so that I don't sail out of the cap before capturing it. And because of this now, my team is the only team gaining points from caps. So if this enemy team wants any hope of winning the game, they're going to have to start killing ships. And more importantly, they're going to have to get their destroyer, who once again has popped up all the way down there, really not doing anything. In fact, he might even be AFK. I don't think he's moved from that spot. If that destroyer was not AFK or in any position to do anything, he would already be circling back and trying to take one of the cap locations. But that is not going to be the case. He's being chased down by at least 1 cruiser and a battleship. Plus, he's got 2 destroyers coming back around the other side of C and the island, so he's pretty much SOL. Whether he knows it yet or not. In the meantime, the Amagi and a few of the other ships have finally sailed into range of my guns, so I'm going to go ahead and open up on them. I've got a lot of health. I've got a lot more health than them. And it's a target-rich environment for me. I just have to decide what to shoot at. So I decide I'm going to start picking on the Amagi. Partly because he's lower health, and partly because he's bow on, and the way these shots seems to be falling for me is they tend to go long or short as opposed to spread out. And that's when the Amagi decides he's going to turn broadside. Now, he could be trying to get shots out on me. I don't know. Don't really care. I've got the health to absorb shots, and if I've got the speed here, I can just turn in. These shots, no fires, though, but you can see the penetrations on this high explosive. Very, very good for the hood. Here come the shots in here. Going to start turning in. Hopefully, I can mitigate any damage. But, of course, the Amagi's firing high explosive. What the hell is this guy thinking? I wonder if he misclicked. 2 fires set, but I put them out instantly. The West Virginia's going to shoot at me. I'm going to fire off shots here. Given the amount of health the Amagi has, these should kill him regardless, and they do. And that's enough to set us over to 1,000 points for victory. 4 kills, 74,000 damage done in that game. 1 base capture, 1 base defense ribbon, 6 fires set. Overall, a particularly good game in the hood, and kind of one of the reasons why I like the hood. When played well, when played defensively, it is quite capable as a battleship of helping the team out and not just being a gimmick. Second on the team for XP earned, our Heisenjang destroyer top tier ended up top of the team for XP earned. And it was a tier 8 maximum game there. So wasn't top tier, wasn't bottom tiers. There were tier 6s. Anyway, that's it for today's video, folks. If you like the video, hit that like button. Leave a comment down below. And of course, if you're new here, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. If you've got a replay like this one that you'd like to have me take a look at, maybe see featured on my channel, you can send it to my email. If you'd like to watch me play various games live, you can do so by following me on Twitch. If you'd like to get semi-regular channel news and updates, you can also follow me on Facebook. You can find the links for all of those in the video description down below. And as one final caveat, I'd like to apologize if it seems like my voice is turning away every now and again. I am currently distracted by the new bird who's decided to come out and hang around down my feet. You'll find the links for all of those in the video description down below, and as always, I'll see you next time. This is Captain Rye, signing off.